Welcome, everybody. This is my favorite part of the education, technical and vocational training, because implementing, and earlier we have heard about it, implementing and introducing ICT into education is just a way to achieve a goal. But the preparedness of the country, of the people, of the involvement is fundamental, and I think through the technical vocational learning, I think that is the way that we have to prepare before we roll out education projects and preparedness. In Africa, industrialization of the countries is the main word. Again, skills of industrial preparedness, the students in the schools, in the technical centers is mandatory. So I would like to address my first question to Madagascar, to the policy of the program for the technical and vocational training. What is it about? Can you share a little bit to the audience?
Thank you. In Madagascar, we have set up a national policy for employment and vocational training. It has been voted at the parliament last year, and now we are starting to do implementation. This policy was something which is very special because it's the first in its kind. It has seen the participation. It has been done by a participatory process. That means it has been written by many stakeholders from national and regional levels. So it is meant to meet the needs of the labor market, to have a policy, national policy skill development system based on many reforms in terms of institutions and in all those qualities and all those centers. So I think it's something very important because it has been written to meet a holistic and sustainable development skills for Madagascar to meet its labor market for development, economic and human development.
Okay, very nice. Okay. In terms of Kenya, I cannot, and I want to welcome and thank you, Kenya, for hosting this amazing event here in your country. I cannot disregard the DLP project. So in Kenya, how is the preparedness for and the readiness and also for the competency-based education in the schools engaged with the DLP project you're rolling out now?
Okay, thank you. In Kenya, we have made a lot of stride towards implementing competent-based curriculum in the TVET. Mm-hmm. We have moved away from program-based, and now we are focusing on outcomes. Outcomes are now more important than the processes. In terms of ICT, we have done a lot in terms of implementation of the CBET. We have connected our TVET institutions to fiber optic, 40 of them. And we have introduced smart classrooms in the TVET. They have smart boards and the classrooms where students can see through the protocols through animations. So a lot have been done in TVET. Also, we have established a TVET Curriculum Development Certification Council, whose role is mainly to develop the CBET curriculum and also to ensure that competency certificates are issued. And we are also now involving the industry in the curriculum development. Industry sets standards, they provide the standards, and then the curriculum is developed based on the occupation standards. That's what we are doing.
Okay, thank you. Very well then. I think in Nigeria, the policy of acquisition of technical and vocational training skills, and I mean, as a global issue we find in Africa is the early abandonment of youth from schools. How can you, and how would you define what is Nigeria's strategy and policy in keeping up a technical and vocational training centers or at school level in secondary schools to engage with and to prepare the children and to help them and to stay in schools and improve their lives?
Thank you very much. Let me start by giving a clap to the IT innovation throughout the whole world. But the clapping over, we have to ask some basic directional questions about the IT movement, the whole world, particularly as it relates to our TVET programs in Nigeria. From 2011 to 2015, Nigeria embarked on a defined educational action plan. That having ended, we just inaugurated a new one in 2016 that will run from 2016 to 2019, addressing the following 10 cardinal areas: out-of-school children, which is your concern, teacher education, basic and secondary education, particularly with curriculum development and policy matters, the TVET concern, tertiary education, library services, ICT, educational data, and adult and non-formal education. With the TVET, we are asking the ICT world to change the discussion. For the last 3 years, I've been involved in this exercise. Every year about this time, we attend such fora and collect shopping lists, and often told to go back to your various countries and budget appropriately to come and purchase these items. In fact, particularly worrisome is what somebody mentioned today: development of curriculum from outside the nation state. We expect some outfits in Britain or somewhere in Scotland to package the curriculum for our national use and bring to us. That is wrong. What we'll be talking about is, after developing the curriculum, reflecting national needs, aspirations, and culture, then we can, with the service providers, ask for how we can program it into the ICT line or computerize it or whatever. But to ask for some persons outside to give us a national curriculum package is wrong. Certainly very wrong, and we're not doing that in Nigeria. Every nation state should have at least a curriculum development center where they can articulate their curriculum based on their national needs and aspirations. We've done that in Nigeria. What we're looking for at this stage, if I may come directly to your question, is to ask for partnership with ICT developers to come and help us digitalize, as it were, our ready-made national curriculum into the digital sector. We've been trying to do that, we've done that, and if there's anything I'm shopping for today or within this conference tennis, the IBM, the Microsoft, the Hawaii, all of those service products, please come to Nigeria and look at the curriculum we have developed for the various programs, primary, secondary, university, and digitalize it with us. And make, okay, let's use the word make, assemble the packages, the computers, the whatever, in-house, in Nigeria, reflecting national aspirations and direction. That way, we have some psychological ownership of whatever materials being developed for our school system. If you come tomorrow and say, look, give us space, give us location where we can establish these assembly plants, where you can make the computers or assemble the computers, reflect national aspirations, we are very willing to do that. In fact, we have 6 geographical zones in Nigeria. If we can have one computer hub in each geographical zone, 6 for IBM, 6 for Microsoft, 6 for Hewitt, and all the providers, we have more than enough, and thereby we create jobs for our teeming population, looking for jobs. But to tell me, well, we have these materials in London, in Scotland, in UK, in New York, please go and assemble some funds and come on back. Talking about funds, as a spoiled child, spoiled by oil wealth, Nigeria was always ready to go and shop and buy. The money has run dry. By about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we are selling a barrel of oil for about $2,200. It is now as bad as 38 or 40. And Nigeria now, the sing song is, wear Nigeria, eat Nigeria, educate Nigeria, shop Nigeria. So the money to come and buy outside is no longer there. The opportunity that exists now is come in-house, assemble the computers wherever they are. We now, locally, take census and buy the number we want. In fact, Nigeria is so large that whatever your production is, as long as it's in-house, we can always buy it off in less than 1 month or 2 months after the production. That is the way we are going, in-house, shop Nigeria, buy Nigeria, not buy Britain or buy London or buy wherever, no. So my message to the service providers is, please come, partner with us, actualize what you always refer to as inclusive development. We want to be involved in the development of ICT in Nigeria with you, giving you every assistance to make sure we actualize. So that is the way we are going. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the challenge has been made. Nigeria is ready for all countries to come and companies to come, and this was part of my last question for you, for the wish list, of course, but thank you very much for your statement in a very comprehensive way. In the Cameroon also, we have seen that industrialization is part of a global project, and training and the vocational training as part of it has been developed. So, Mr. Kouekam, can you please and explain us a little bit about the government's vision of strategy for the growth and employment through the vocational training?
Merci beaucoup. Je voudrais d'abord dire que la vision du gouvernement camerounais est d'atteindre
of the Cameroon government is to really reach this in 2030. And that is to say that in 2035, Cameroon should be an industrialist country. And for this to happen, we have put in place a document that is called the Document of Growth, the Growth Strategy and Employment, that gives a certain direct guidelines on what's going to do between 2010 and 2020, because in 2020, the government is going to review or revise this document and see what worked and what didn't work. And that then will mean that we'll have a certain change of approach as we move to 2035. So in terms of employment, you know, the job offers, the demand for work and the improvement of efficiency of the market. As you can notice in a strategic manner, the development of capital, human capital, is coming from what I've just told you. And the stake here is professional training that becomes and vocational training becomes very important. So in this regard, the Minister for Employment and Professional Vocational Training has been called upon not only to provide to the economy the engineers that are ready, but also the technicians who are capable of supporting this industrialization that you're talking about. And the vocational training will occupy this space, and people coming from the university and those coming from secondary schools and even those coming from primary school who are not able to have knowledge that would allow them, or qualifications that will allow them to move forward. So we want to put in place a skills-based training that is required to accompany this industrialization that we are talking about. There are sectors for growth that have been identified. There is energy, there is transport, logistics, tourism, as well as agriculture. Agriculture, because this is a key area, because we think industrialization, small industries in agriculture could also help us to move forward very fast. So in this, around these points regarding growth that I've mentioned, the head of state, in his declaration to the youth early this year, defined the, digital economy as one of the elements that the youth should look at or should consider, because it's an area that has a huge potential for growth and for employment. In this regard, we have some difficulties, some concerns, and the Minister of State, I'm talking about professional training does not have a problem, or vocational training does not have a problem in terms of, computers, because this equipment in terms of computers and the rest exists, but this technical vocational training needs, the right equipment for training that would help us to create, to train, the right people that are going to work and supporting this growth that you're talking about. So we have partnerships with, the private sector that is helping to boost our growth, and this partnership has been shown in the sector, the industrial sector, the mechanical sector, automobile sector, agriculture, and but in the domain of ICT, we have not established a good partnership, an efficient partnership. At the moment, we have negotiations with India, but these negotiations have delayed a bit. And for the implementation of a professional center, training center, not just for making computers, but a center, a professional center for assembly, for production of applications and such. So I'm inviting all of your partners to come towards us to help us to implement or create these centers for training, for vocational training. And we already have a mechanism that has been put in place. And you know that the countries like ours, there's always a lot of stuff to be done. And it's just a question of priorities. So we had the opportunity of having some partners who have given us some donations or loans sometimes. And we always accept this kind of support. Thank you very much.
Nice. Dr. Celso, Laice, I'm tempted to direct you this question in Portuguese, your home language, but I think the translator will get a bit complicated with that and the audience doesn't speak. So just welcome you in Portuguese. Seja bem-vindo ao painel e obrigado. About Mozambique Ministry of Science and Technology, there is an announcement that raising of great amount of money, over $500 million for implementing and rehabilitating excellency centers, institutions for the technical and professional development. Can you speak a little bit about that, the project, when it's starting, and how the strategy is for Mozambique?
Thank you Thank you for the invite to be part of this summit. First, I will say that my ministry has about 1 year and 9 months. It's a ministry that comes from the old Ministry of Science and Technology and the Ministry of Education, whereby we took the part that has to do with higher education and the professional the professional education, technical professional education. I would say yes. We are on our way to be able to raise about $500,000, whereby we have as objective to build and refurbish, and equip this professional centers. And just to give an idea, we have more than 26 million people in our country, and on these 26 million people, we only have 25 technical schools, which has 73,000 students. So looking at the reforms of the professional education, when we do this revision of our laws, or looking at what our needs, we come to the conclusion that yes, there is a need to build more professional schools and to equip these professional schools for us to be able to offer quality to our students. But this doesn't also come out, we don't also come out on the plan of our government, which is 5 years. We want to be part of it, promoting a professional education with high quality. So this is the need that we have to that makes us need this amount for us to be able to refurbish and build our professional education centers.
Coming back to Madagascar, so Honorable Minister, you explained very detailed about the policy about it. Question from a company of a private sector: how could private sector cooperate with the ministry? What are the opportunities for the private sector to cooperate in terms of consultancy? What has been done in other countries to also to develop and to engage directly with the government and ministry for Madagascar to help to implement and to make this project real and for a long-term project?
Yes, as I told you, in the policy, the private sector was involved in writing it, and since the quality of those, the outcome of those systems, that means the students who has attended technical and vocational training don't meet the industry's requirement, and that makes that the voice of those private sectors are very important. So they have been asked to help out in designing the new curriculums to meet their needs, but it's important as well to make them contribute financially in updating or training those outcomes to meet their standards. I have to say that in Madagascar as well, like my colleague from Mozambique, the TVET institutions and those colleges are of very poor qualities, lack of equipment. It makes that the outcome is not as much as, don't meet really the needs of those industries. So we need to put more budget. We have to make more advocacy in budget funding of those TVET schools. And, but during the preparation and the writing of the new policy, what we found very interesting is that the commitment of the private sector to help because they can take advantages of the quality of those students. And that is very important. And that's why we decided then to implement this new policy in a partnership-based governance system. And there will be the fund, the basket fund that we'll be able to put together will be used by participatory decision, and their voice will be heard, and it's very important to implement and.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. In Nigeria, coming back to Nigeria, about you talked about the invitation you're doing officially for the readiness of professional skills you're doing in the secondary schools to train already for the readiness of the industrialization process and continuously industrialization process of your country. In terms of the framework and budgetary implications, can you share a little bit with us what are these frameworks and maybe budgetary implications for the vocational and technological education?
Yeah, thank you very much. In our new educational blueprint, we've placed some needed emphasis on science and technology. Science and technology content in drawing up the school curriculum for the basic, the secondary, and even in the tertiary. We've tried to emphasize skill acquisition and entrepreneurship education. And in the universities and the polytechnics, we've tried to equally do that, and enough budgetary provisions to be made in these various sectors. Most recently, there was a kind of slight disconnect between universities and our polytechnics. And the graduates of the polytechnics were feeling a little bit less appreciated. And the government recently harmonized the so-called dichotomy between university education and technology education in the polytechnics. So all of these are steps we've taken. We've tried to involve industry as much as we can in the training of our students in science and technology, skills acquisition, and all of that. And we're doing well. And let me repeat my call that the service providers should please come and work with us along these lines, and we'll achieve our purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In terms of, you already explained about the DLP project and the importance about the competency-based education. Kenya is now developing a new curriculum based on the new technology bringing in, but how much emphasis is being put in acquisition of technical skills for the industry readiness in this, I call it our country because I am like.
Okay, the overall government policy on TVET as articulated in various policy documents, like the session paper number 2, 2015, the TVET Act, Vision 2030, the Jubilee Manifesto, and the TVET Master Plan, lays a lot of emphasis on skills training, and especially competence-based training and involvement of industry in the provision of the same skills. So in Kenya, we know that in the TVET subsector we have had challenges before, and these challenges were the existence of outdated curriculum, with challenges in terms of the equipment, the infrastructure, but now we are handling those challenges. What we are doing is that the government has embarked on reforms the whole TVET system to make it competence-based. And I said earlier, already we have an agency that was established to deal with competence-based curriculum in TVET. And we are now involving more of the industry in terms of developing of the curriculum. the industry, through the sector skills advisory committees, develop occupational standards. And these standards are now a basis for now developing the curriculum. In addition to that, in order to ensure that our students have the practical skills, we have a policy that insists that all students must undertake industrial attachment. It's now a must, they must do that. And also, we have launched a number of programs that are assisting students to be innovative and to practice what they do. Some of them is like we have a robot contest where students are develop robots and then they go into a contest. And also we have TVET fairs where students show course what they have been doing in their various departments. And then another one is we have another program which is called African Tech Challenge. This program we came up with the AVIC International company from China, and students in TVET compete in producing spare parts for machines using the state-of-art equipment that we have already put in place in various TVET institutions. And one of the big outcomes that we have had in this is that in 2015, the students that won this competition, they were awarded contracts to manufacture spare parts for machines for Chinese companies. And these were exported this year. 25 tons were exported from Kenya. That's one of the achievements that we have had. And we are doing that in all areas so that we can enhance the practical skills in our students. Now, we are no longer talking about just reproducing, but we are talking about production. Students should be able to produce. The outcome is more important. And also, in terms of training, we have trained our trainers. They have been retrained, majority of them, to be competent best. And we have also established a Africa Training Center with the assistance with the Chinese company. This center, the main role is to enhance skills for the trainers, because when the trainers have good skills, then they can also impart the same skills to the trainees. And with this, we are assured that we are doing very well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the detailed explanation as well. Coming back to Cameroon, Mr. Kouekam, in terms of the general education, and you're trying, what we have explained, to shift more to specialized forms of technical education to guarantee the preparedness of the students. Are there particular skills you want to emphasize in this project? Language, knowledge, computer enabling, or is it a global one, or do you have main objectives and goals you can share with us?
Merci.
Thank you. I would like, first of all, to say that the elaboration of those programs is done according to the skills. Indeed, in our vocational training, we are doing it with the private sector. Those are our partners. So from the onset, they are the one who determine the skills that they need. And together with our ministry, we come up with the kind of program which is needed so that we can impart those skills. As I've said it earlier, the digital economy was not one of our priorities. at the beginning of the year when our president have asked us to include it as one of our priority. So far, we have worked with the French partners, and I would like to thank them for helping us to establish those vocational centers. So we have tried to work in the agriculture sector, and we identify skills and jobs that will be needed in the region. This is how we have been able to build those vocational centers, and at the same time we do production within these centers, and this will help us for our economic growth. We want to have the same approach when it comes to digital economy. We are not just going to say, well, we want to build computers. No, what we do is that we work with private sector, IBM, Microsoft. Maybe they can advise us to know what is the best approach. And then we are going to come up with a curriculum. And once again, I want to say that we have already accomplished a number of things when it comes to the ICT training. But here, I want to insist on the vocational training. And as I've just said earlier, we are just at the beginning, and we will really appreciate the partnership not only of the private sector, because we just don't have to train, we have to create jobs. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Dr. Laice, in your intervention you mentioned about two important ministries, the cooperation between those. Also you are working and developing the curriculum. How in your experience is it important to have alignment between both ministries of education and science and technology to develop the strategic plan and the curriculum for your global goals to achieve these institutions, to try and train in vocational way the students?
Thank you. As I was saying, we just take the higher education to the Ministry of Technology. What's our relation with the Ministry of Education? How is it? It's good. As an example, now we are working together on the creation or on the elaboration of national law on education. This to say, besides, for us to be able to have a good performance on the technical or higher education, we depend on high quality education based on the Ministry of Education from the first year to the last year.
Thank you very much, honorable ministers, delegations, permanent secretaries, for this excellent sharing of your needs, of your readiness, and of your visions and policy for each country. I think this helps a lot for the one-to-one roundtables meetings. Many of you expressed your needs, so that it's easier for the private sector also to engage directly to the needs and go directly with the opportunities and create. And I will wish all of us a pleasant and profitable evening, and tomorrow another day. So I just wanted to highlight that many of, in technical and vocational training, is just part of one of the sustainable development goals, which every country represented here has committed for last year in the United Nations. So I just wanted to share and remind there are others, 17 in total, and how we can reach our commitments through over the next years by implementing, by training, by giving better experience and expectations of life to poverty. And I will share with you the video, please.
In 2015, the United Nations launched the Global Goals for Sustainable Development. As a government member and citizen, I'm deeply committed to foster these goals in my country and to promote economic and social wealth through education. In my quest, I went around the globe to learn which ideas are already being implemented. In Portugal, they have an ongoing project for first school grades that stimulates the use of computers and broadband. Kenya is deeply invested on a large-scale training program that's taking the country into the digital world. In El Salvador, there's a program supported by the president to ensure that each school has access to the best technological tools. All these successful projects and many more are part of a multidisciplinary and integrated worldwide ecosystem. Let me show you how the Inspiring Knowledge ecosystem works. With technology, it distributes devices, creates tools and software that impacts the whole educational community. Through engineering, it builds assembly units and support centres that create jobs and stimulate the economy. With pedagogy, it guarantees that everybody's included, receives training, and everything is measured. The ecosystem can even be tailored to fulfill each challenge-specific requirements, from early conception to final deployment, engaging all stakeholders on a dynamic network, powered by state-of-the-art intelligence. Just think about this, 2030 is still far away, and so many countries are already getting results with the Inspiring Knowledge ecosystem. I know mine is. What about yours?